Warning. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Our Top 5. I'm Jason, that's Alice, and with me, as always, my pal, my good friend Lee, the man that if I asked him to help me get rid of this dead body back over here, he'd probably say, what dead body? Do what? But
I think this might be my words quite right. Exactly.
I think they would
exactly
be
what I would do.
almost exactly like that. Probably
Yeah,
exactly.
indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. What's going on, man? What's going on? How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm kind of excited about this list this week, and I think a couple of them may have been on some previous shows. But if you want, you tell them about what this topic is about this week.
Well, my friend, we are talking and sharing with you guys our top 5 horror movies based on true events.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, these are some great movies. And you're like, whoa, and then you realize that maybe some of them you've seen and then didn't even realize that maybe it was based on a true story. Like, whoa, that couldn't have been. That's so insane. You know what I mean? There's some crazy things that are based on some of these true stories here that are just terrifying and horrifying and scared me many a time. I know that.
Well, and there's a couple of them that when they say, you know, because there's inspired by and then there's based on. So based on true events is probably something that really did happen, but they, as I call it, Hollywoodize it, and kind of like what we're doing with Joe, the movie that I'm making with you and a bunch of other people. You know, it's based on a real life serial killer, but you know, I wasn't there when he killed the people, so we're going to make it, you know, worth watching. I'll leave it that way. But inspired by it could be anything, man. You know, I could be going down a dirt road somewhere and, you know, look at a tree over there and say, man, that tree is creepy. What if that tree was to reach out and like grab the car or whatever and this and that? So that to me is like I'm inspired by this gravel road that the tree was creepy on. I think there's a little bit of a difference in the two.
I would agree. I would definitely agree with you on that 100%. That's quite an accurate description you've given there, my friend.
Yeah. And there's one that well, let's see. It could be on your list. I don't have it on my list, and I'm not going to say it right now. But I know that it inspired the person to make this movie, and I'll just leave it. I don't want to get into that a whole lot though, just in case.
Man, there have definitely been some, and when you, without ruining, I don't want to. There's so many stories that are on here that have been inspired by or that are, like you said, that are told by true, based on true events. I'm going to talk about some without ruining anything. I don't know if you're on your list because there's been some stories that are based, some great horror stories that have been based on one true event. You know what I mean? Throughout the years. You know, without, and again, they may or not be on anybody's list here, but we could just talk about them real briefly. That two, for instance, Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know what I mean? They are both inspired by the same story.
Yeah, Ed Gein.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and also what is Silence of the Lambs is part of that too.
I think so. You're right.
Yeah, that one actually had a couple of different things in it, but certain serial killers that they, you know, just because they were so brutal in their way of killing people or their way of digging up bodies. I think Ed Gein only actually killed one person. The rest of them were people that he dug up. You know, so he was a sick man.
Hence those stories that hey, there were no comedies based upon Ed Gein.
No, not that I can recall. Not that I no.
They're like, but he was so funny though. He was so
yeah. You remember that one time he dug up that one lady? Yeah.
But the jokes he would tell. Yeah.
Yeah, the jokes he would tell.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No, but that's so true though. So true. Well, and now I'll be interested to see if any of those movies are all on your list, my friend. I don't know if they're on mine or not.
Maybe.
Time shall tell. Time shall tell.
Yeah.
All right, dude. So are we going to start with an honorable mention, my friend, or do you just want to kind of kick it off?
I think we'll just kick it off. We'll just get into it. I might throw an honorable mention all the way at the end that almost made mine because I really did like it, but I guess I like these other ones a little bit better.
Okay, I feel you. There you go.
Yeah. You want me to lead off on this one? I'll take the first one.
Sounds good.
All right. So my number 5, it was a 2001 movie. There was a book written by Alan Moore about this film. You can't get more famous than this serial killer. The movie is called From Hell, with
Oh
Johnny
wow.
Depp and Heather Graham, about Jack the Ripper. And it was the book. I actually read the book. I thought the book was good about who he thought was the Jack the Ripper, the true person he thought was Jack the Ripper. And who was I read a book by Patricia Cornett. I probably got the book right back here. Anyway, but she had a great book on a theory of who she thought was the killer. And
Okay.
I have my theory. I think everybody has a theory of who they think Jack the Ripper is. In this movie, though, I thought Johnny Depp did a great job of being the inspector going after him. It showed a lot of events that were happening in the area. Everybody was smoking opium, even the police, the investigators, and and it showed how dirty and gritty Whitechapel actually was. It was just a great movie, man. I loved it. There was plenty of gore in it. The acting was pretty decent, and Johnny Depp's one of my favorite actors, so I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. You said it was directed by the Hughes brothers, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they did a great job of it, based on a graphic novel. Man, I'm actually ashamed to say I've seen the movie. I saw it in the theaters. Johnny Depp's one of my favorite actors, but I think that might be the only time I actually saw it.
Really?
That's one that I haven't really gone back to revisit for whatever reason, and it was a good movie. Great choice, man. Great choice.
Thanks,
It
man.
inspired me to actually go dig it up
Yeah,
and watch it again.
yeah. Go
Because
watch it
we're a
again.
classic tale of Jack the Ripper anyway. You know what I mean? It is a
Yeah,
great story. And if guys, if you haven't seen it, the graphic novel is fantastic, and the movie is really good. I mean,
yeah.
Johnny Depp
They
does a
stuck to
fantastic job. So,
they stuck to the story pretty good too. You know what I mean, with the exact amount
yeah.
of people that were killed, and you know, there's a movie coming out that I want to see so bad, and Leonardo DiCaprio is in it, on H. Holmes, the serial killer that
Oh,
was had the burner hotel that killed so many people, and a lot of people
yes.
thought he was Jack the Ripper. There's a great theory that he was Jack the Ripper because supposedly he was over there at that time, but a lot of people say he wasn't there at that time. I know he did travel, to England around that time, but I think it was a little bit earlier. But it's going to be a great movie anyway. So
Right.
anyway, yeah, that was my number 5. It's going
Dude,
down
I
that.
love that choice. Very great. I mean, great choice. That actually
Well,
might
thank you.
be one of the more surprising choices since we've been doing the show. So that one
Yeah,
got me. Very good job. I like it.
thank
For
you.
me, it's I'm choosing a film that I actually saw back in the day that scared me. It Voodoo's always scared me for whatever reason. Going back to the Brady Bunch, even when they were
Oh no. I just took like 10 points off of you, man. No, Brady
going
Bunch.
back to the Brady going back to the Brady Bunch with the voodoo that was even in there. It just for whatever reason it always has. But I'm talking about the Serpent and the Rainbow. Um, and then it combined voodoo, being buried alive, and then for the most horrific of all horrific events that happened, they when he's being tortured and put it's just being left unsaid. But it has stars Bill Pullman, and it was directed by Wes Craven, came out in
Mhm.
'86, I believe. It's just, to me, it's a really terrifying movie. I I was just really scared by it, actually, because it's just based on the true story about the guy going over there to Haiti, and just the horrific things that happened to him over there, being attacked by the voodoo priest, and not only that, but just the government in itself also, is just as terrible as it was, and it was just horrific things that were happening. But yes, terrible movie.
Well,
I mean,
that's
great. I
one.
mean, great movie, but terrible.
Yeah, I think I've only watched that once, and I think it was right when it came out on VHS, and I rented it. And yeah, it was a scary movie, and I think it was bad enough that I didn't watch. Not bad as a bad movie, but scary enough where realistic enough, I guess I would say, that I
Yeah.
didn't watch it again for a while, and then I just kind of I remember the cover of the tape, though. I remember that even
Yes.
right now. I can see the cover of it in my mind. Good movie though, man. That's a scary one.
Yeah. Yeah. It really was, and the torture scene is just terrible. Uh, so it's
Yeah,
just horrific. So that again was horrific enough. But yeah, God, thank you, my friend. 1988, by the way, that's an 86. Came
1980.
out.
Yeah, good one, man. Good one.
Thanks, buddy. All right, moving on to number 4, sir.
All right, I guess I'm gonna jump into my number 4, and we actually were just talking about Ed Gein, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Uh,
There you
they,
go.
they they built that movie up so much when it came out. I mean, if you go back and watch the original trailer for that, based on the true life events, and they made it. I, for the longest time, thought Leatherface was a real person. I thought the Hewitts were real people killing people in Texas. And I got older, and then I was like, well, let me see what I can find on. And everything pointed to Ed Gein. Ed Gein. It was inspired by Ed Gein, who was not from Texas, by the way. But
Right.
everything just pointed to him. And it's like, oh, well, that's where they got. He was wearing, aprons made out of human flesh, and he had lampshades made out of human flesh, and a belt buckle made out of nipples, of all things. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's just whether it was the original 1974, the 2003 remake, all of the ones that came along with it, they always, even 2003 one with Jessica Biel, that one, when it came on, it went through the whole thing as what you're about to see are the true events, the whole time. So if you're going into this movie and never heard of Ed Gein, never heard that of Texas Chainsaw Massacre or anything like that, you're going to think that wow, there was really a serial killer named Leatherface out there that was killing people. And
Yeah.
it was done great. I mean, look at the money they made. Look at all of the sequels that have come along, the prequels that have come along, everything. And there's another new one getting ready to come out.
No, you're absolutely right, Jason. It's so funny. Well, you know what? Because that's my number 4 as well.
Really?
It really is. So, I mean, that's a fantastic choice. I could say. I mean, I think you picked a perfect place for it in your top 5. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, no, I mean, so I'll just kind of continue along and just say everything you said is absolutely correct, except for all the ones that follow behind it. I mean, are we really going to stand behind the Dennis Hopper led Texas Chainsaw
No.
Massacre?
Matthew McConaughey and who
Or
was it?
even that, yeah, even I forgot. I wasn't even including that one. You're absolutely right. The Dennis Hopper one was part 2. What is that? That's like 3. I think that's McConaughey and Zellweger is like part 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, after part 3, which was a fairly decent one actually. Part 3 was pretty good actually.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but no, yeah, man, it really was. I mean, those are horrific films, and to your point, it was led to it wasn't like based on inspired by a true events of Ed Gein. It was this is a fail. This is what
Yeah.
maybe these hippies encountered these crazy cannibals. You know what I mean? Out there in the country.
Yeah.
And
And
they're
Ed
able to
Gein never
confront that.
used a chainsaw. He never used
Right.
a chainsaw. So, though, if you're going to make a movie that is inspired, see, that's inspired by. That's the difference. That's inspired by Ed Gein. But if you're going to say we need a good weapon, Michael's got the knife, Jason's got the chainsaw, which this is way before them. But what can we do? Let's give him a chainsaw. And he can cut people up with a chainsaw. Like, oh my god. So,
Yeah.
how many times did you go to a haunted house or just go trick or treating? Where we grew up in Culpeper, there was a neighborhood that we would go trick or treating, and this crazy guy would get up on the roof of his house, a 1-story house, and he would jump off with the chainsaw. And I can remember I was a little kid at that time, and that was a nice neighborhood. You would never expect it from such a nice neighborhood, but it's all old ladies giving out good treats and everything, and then this crazy guy. I guess that would have been me back then, jumping off the roof. But yeah, I mean, you just hear a
Maybe that's what
chainsaw.
inspires you. That's probably what inspires you to go ahead and create what you all have created so far today is that
Yeah,
one guy. So if you're
jumping
out
off
there,
the
my
roof.
friends,
Thank you.
you're out there and you're
Thank you.
listening.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got the chainsaw in my Forest of Fear. I mean, you got to have a chainsaw if you're doing any kind of haunted house or anything. I mean, you'll always hear the chainsaw running somewhere, and it's
Yeah.
coming. With mine, it's usually at the end of the. You've made it through. You've made it past Jason and the dolls and the Freddy and all these other Michael Myers. Everybody, Pennywise, you get through all of them, and whoo, man, you think you're out. You're coming down that last little hallway, and there's Leatherface sitting over there chopping somebody up, and he's kind of watching you. And then he grabs a chainsaw, and everybody comes running out. And when I hear those screams and the tears, sometimes it makes me happy. I know I did my job.
Tears of fear make him happy.
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen.
exactly.
And not only that, but Jason, if you guys are listening now, Jason, you might have to rearrange which exactly, or is he setting you guys up? Maybe that's not the true end of the haunted house, as you just said. You just gave everybody.
Maybe I was lying
spoilers.
about that.
There you go. No, that's you're right though, man. It's always a mainstay in every horror house.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, I think obviously, I agree with you on your choice. We did great job on that one.
Yeah, great job to you. It was a good team effort on number 4 there.
Indeed.
All right, so my number 3 is 1991. Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster, Silence of the Lambs. And
awesome.
That's another one that is based on I would say inspired by, with this one, that the killer Buffalo Bill was skinning his victims like Ed Gein, and he was looking for a certain size, and he had to find a certain size woman. So when he would, he was cutting the patterns off, they're going to shrink like leather. So he had to get a woman that was a little bit bigger because the skin was going to shrink. That's why he was going after women that were a little bit, oh shit, I'm gonna get in trouble by saying stuff like that.
I'm just watching you as you
you weren't gonna say anything. You're gonna let me keep going.
I'm just it's like watching a horror show right now.
The ratings. Yeah.
Stop. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'll edit that part out. But no, I mean, I love that show. There was also a mention or a little nod to Ted Bundy in it also, where Buffalo Bill was getting his last victim, which was the one that ended up in the well, but he needed help, and he put that fake cast on it. He couldn't get his little sofa into the van, and he asked her for help, and of course she goes over and helps. Ladies, never do that. Don't ever do that. But that's how Ted Bundy lured a couple of them into his little Volkswagen Beetle. He wore a cast and acted like he needed help with something, and he took him and killed him. So that was kind of a nod to Ted Bundy, that part. And there was a serial killer, I can't remember if it was in Maryland or Delaware, that he actually kept his victims in an old well that was in his basement or cellar, I guess it was, but there was an old well there, and that's where he would keep his victims. And that's where they got the idea for like keeping Catherine and the rest of the victims down in that well. I don't remember that guy's name though, but
Buffalo Bill, or just said Buffalo Bill,
the real one,
the actor. Oh, Ted something or other. He was the father in oh gosh,
The Hills Have Eyes. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
I think that was the first movie that I had seen him in, other than Silence of the Lambs. And it's like, when you play somebody like Buffalo Bill, and then you're playing a really nice father, a good loving man. I don't care. I still didn't like him when he was getting burned him.
No, I know. No, it took me a long time to see that character or that guy in a different way. Also, he did a great job of portraying him. I mean, you picked a movie that really crossed over. It was a horror movie, but it went on and crossed over to what horror movies typically don't do in Hollywood. You know what I mean? And went to win all these awards.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think they swept the awards. What was the best? I know that they both won the Oscars that year.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins
and Jodie Foster.
Yeah, Jodie Foster and Jonathan Demme. I'm pretty sure maybe he even won for best director. I think maybe it swept. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Comment, let me know. But I'm pretty sure it swept the Oscars that year. It was a great movie, man, and really good movie.
There's a TV series on now. Have you caught any of those?
I never watched any of them. I know there's Clarice that's on currently, and then there was Hannibal, which ran before that, which I heard was fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't watch Hannibal the series. Now I watched Hannibal the movie when it came out with oh, who was that?
It's Julianne Moore.
Yeah, yeah,
When she took over the role for
yeah,
Jodie Foster for Clarice.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I liked that when it wasn't bad, and I liked Red Dragon. You know
Yes,
what I
I
mean?
actually I really like Red Dragon. Actually, I thought that
Yeah,
was better than Hannibal, in my
yeah,
opinion.
oh
I
yeah,
know it
I
didn't do
agree.
as well or whatever, but I
No, it
thought Red
was cool.
Dragon, to me, I enjoyed it as a better movie. I thought.
When that guy stood up, man, and he had on the, the tattoo and everything, man, that was freaky. That was freaky.
Yeah.
But I will
Yep.
say I have been watching Clarice. This is the first series or season of it, and it's kind of slow. Um, what happens with in this show, Clarice? It's been, a year or two after the whole Buffalo Bill incident. The governor that was the governor's daughter and the governor are both in this series. The governor actually hires Clarice to be in another special part of the FBI with this other group. The other group doesn't like her at all when she first comes in because, Clarice in the movie, she was still in the academy.
Yeah.
And they took this fresh girl to go, to Hannibal Lecter, but Lecter wasn't stupid. He knew what was going on. But anyway, it's a good series. They it's good. It's good for a TV show. It's not bad. The girl that's playing Clarice, I can't remember her name, but she's a good actress. She does a good job of trying to hide in a West Virginia accent. So it's not bad.
Right.
It's not bad.
All right. Well, I've heard good things about it. I do believe it's moving from CBS to Paramount Plus, which will probably be in its benefit. You know what I mean? They'll be
Yeah.
able to be a little bit more loose with the stuff they can show. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And maybe a little bit
Another
more
series I
graphic
wish
or
they would
horror
put
with it.
on like a Cinemax or HBO or something like that. I just when a lot of times when they put those series on something, even like Paramount Plus, I think they'll do better. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, it will do better. I think
Yeah,
it definitely be able to be more creative freedom with a story like this.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Without being restricted by the standards of network television.
yeah. Although I did hear somebody drop the F bomb the other day on USA, like after 10 o'clock. I was like, what? I
Oh
had to
yeah, they're getting a little
rewind.
loose on those cable
Yeah,
networks a little bit too.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
had to
heard that
rewind a
too.
little bit. Like, wait, he said the F bomb on USA.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. Getting wild out there. Getting
yeah.
wild.
It's
Everybody's competing
crazy
for the
world.
ratings.
Yeah.
Indeed, man. Well, cool, brother. Then for me, man, it is The Conjuring 2. I had to choose it. I don't know if you picked up by now, guys. For me, yes, serial killer movies are scary. They are scary. Um, but they're not terror. I mean, they can be. I don't know how I can explain it, but to me, the ghost ones, the spirit ones, the possession, those are what get me. Those are the ones that really terrify me down to the core. And the Conjuring series did that. And they're newer films, but they've done that. And all of their spin-offs as well. But The Conjuring 2 was really good, especially for a sequel. And the story that I was based on, that's again based on a true story. And I just love Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga.
They do a great job.
They do a great job portraying the and Lorraine Warren. They just do, and all the little spin-offs that have come out from the movies, I love them all. So that's why it's made my list as number 3.
That's a great choice, man. And I'll bring up something real quick as a paranormal investigator. When I first heard they were going to start making movies that involved Ed and Lorraine Warren, um, as a paranormal investigator, you kind of get protective over somebody like Lorraine Warren because she is such an icon in the field. So, when they said they were going to make a movie about her, I'm sitting there like, who's going to play her? Because they better do a good job, man. You know what I mean? Who's going to play Ed? And you're waiting, and then you see who was casted for, and you're like, that's pretty big names to be. I was hoping it wasn't going to be like a nobody because you never know what's going to happen. And they brought them in, and you still don't know how they're going to play them. But when the movies came out, they nailed it. They did such a great job. They do a great job of showing that they were very professional at what they did, but the core thing is they loved each other, man. You know, that was their life. I mean, they were a married couple doing this together, and that was their life. And they did a good job. The actors did a great job.
Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah, it was just, and again, it was terrifying. It was, it was terrifying for sure. Yeah. So, and I'm so looking forward to part 3 that comes out this summer.
Every time you mention The Conjuring, all I can think about is Lee is going to St. Albans with me to do a paranormal investigation. And St. Albans is a very active location for paranormal activity. So
I mean, I
I
don't
can't
think you
wait.
know. Maybe I guess maybe I haven't stressed enough how terrified I actually am of these type of things because there is some type. Again, these are based on true stories, and these guys, the paranormal investigators, you know what I mean. Anyway, they just terrify me. So yes,
Yeah.
Jason, I am dreading that event.
Which we're going to do an episode from there. So that I think that's going to make it worth a while. Is just for people
It's gonna be
to
fun.
see you at St. Albans like this the whole time. Yeah. We can shoot it down in the morgue or something. It'll be more fun down there.
There we
Or we
go.
can just shoot it from the main hall, whichever place.
Oh
So,
boy.
so what are we up? We're on number 2 now.
We are the top 2, my friend. We really are.
Top 2. Well, we mentioned Ed and Lorraine Warren a moment ago, and they had something to do with this one. So I'm going. My number 2 is a 1979 movie, The Amityville Horror.
Ooh.
And that another one that when it comes on, it's written on the screen. This is based on true events that happened over a 28-day period with the Lutz family when they moved in. And this movie was so much better like 10 to 15 years ago, because there's so much that's come out about it now. Especially there's a show that came out called My Amityville Horror, and it's written by one of the Lutz kids. They show interviews with the DeFeo guy that was in prison for the original murders. But anyway, you look at it, it's some crazy stuff went on in that house. And the house is up for sale again, and if I had the 1.8 million or whatever they want for it, and which I was going to talk to you about a loan for that, Lee, after the show.
Sure.
Yeah, just 1.8.
See what we can do.
Yeah. I would buy that place in a heartbeat, and I would put the original windows, or I would put a replica windows of what the original ones were, the iconic, quarter circle windows up in the top. And I would rent that place out for investigations, for paranormal investigations, and make a fortune off of it. Do I think the house is haunted? Personally, honestly, no, I don't. I think that I think Ronald DeFeo killed his parents. At one time, he tried to blame it on his sister, and that was later in life. But when he first got caught, he tried to blame it on demons. He was hearing voices, and he killed them. That's why he killed him. And that was his when he was in court. That was his defense, is that he was possessed. And then the family moved into it, and they said they had all kinds of things happen right away, and they were only there for 28 days, and all kinds of crazy stuff happened in the movie, but I don't think it happened in real life. I think that couple was I think they were already on the verge of breaking up. His business was failing, their marriage was failing, financially they were doing bad. I think that they ended up making up this story to make money off of it, but they did a good job because they made a lot of money off of this.
Right. They definitely did, right? I mean, yeah, that's very much possible. That is the case. So one of your favorite horror movies has been demystified, my friend.
Yeah, and it really hurts, man, because I love that movie.
Well, man, for me, my number 2 choice is a movie came out in 2005 called Wolf Creek. I just, I've watched this movie once, and it was hard for me to watch it. It really was. I mean, it left a terrible imprint on me, which is why it makes my list. You know what I mean? Because just so terrifying. And just what happened, it's based on these missing backpackers. One guy
Mhm.
went missing in the 90s, and another one back in 2001. So of course, this is also inspired by. But what happens is these three kids or teenagers or friends, these college kids, they go out, they're hiking. While they're out hiking, they come back. Their car is all jacked up. They can't go anywhere. This guy offers to, drive, which I thought was crazy that they just like, oh yeah, I'll just hook it up and you can just drive me to
Yeah, yeah.
to where you want to go. And I was like, that's just kind of, but I guess they really had no choice either. I mean, they
No,
were just stuck out there, and it was like we either offer, and this guy seems nice, you know what I
he
mean? And
did
I don't
seem
think he got,
nice.
yeah.
That's what's
And
so
so they'll
terrifying
go,
about it.
yeah. And the next thing you know, he goes back and they're sitting around a campfire and they're all drugged, and they wake up, and it's just horrible what happens to them afterwards. And it just really did bother me. So and again, it's based on a true story or inspired by a true story. But yeah, it's a good movie. Again, if you like a great horror movie, it is a good horror movie. But it's rating so high on my list because of just the way it made me feel as I was watching it.
Disturbing. It was a very
Disturbing.
disturbing movie,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they had
So
a mini series on about that too. Did you ever see that? It was
I
like
did
one
not.
series, one season or something like that, maybe two seasons, but it was just as disturbing. I mean, it was terrible, man. Like just the way that he would go up and you think he's there to help you out. I can fix your car. I'm gonna have to take it back to my place. Like, come on
Yeah.
back. Let's have a drink. Like, I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, you broke down, you go back, and the guy seemed nice enough. I mean, he was what, around our
Broke down in the
age,
middle of
probably, but
nowhere too. It's not like you're even like in a area where people are coming and going, camping every now and then. You know what I mean? It's
you
just
don't
like you're
have
in
a
the middle of
choice.
nowhere.
You don't
Yeah,
have a
it's like,
choice.
yeah.
I I think
I didn't see the
that's a
sequel
great
either.
one.
I think there was a sequel too, actually.
There
I'm not,
was.
but I didn't see that either. Because this movie, it left an imprint.
Yeah, I watched the second one. That definitely wasn't as good as the first one, but I really did enjoy the little series that came out there for a little while. And it might have been two seasons, so that I can't remember, but it was good. I mean, it was good and scary and gory and stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, that made me think of something just now, and it's kind of off of this, but when my wife and I got married, we went to Savannah for our honeymoon. And I think we flew to North Carolina and then from North Carolina to Savannah. And when we got on the plane to Savannah, there was a guy sitting there and we started talking a little bit and his name was Redbone. I said, "Hey, how you doing, Redbone?" And anyway, we talked a little bit and he said that he was just getting back from tour with Steve Harvey and he was a comedian and this and that. It's like, oh, cool, man. Yeah, so he'd been on tour with Steve Harvey and a bunch of other, famous comedians. And anyway, he's like, hey, we get there, taxis are expensive. I'll give you a ride. And I'm like, huh, you know, Mama said don't accept no rides from strangers. And my wife was like, oh, okay. And I was like, my wife hadn't seen the real world like I have,
Right.
So anyway, we get to the airport and my wife and I are waiting out front. This dude pulls up, and I swear I think it was a big pink Cadillac, like a 1978 Fleetwood. You know what I mean? And a
Yeah.
super glider. And I was like, huh. So we put all the luggage in the back and jump in. And I'm sitting beside him, and we're riding down the road. He's taking us into like historic part of Savannah where our hotel was. And all of a sudden, just like out of the blue, we hadn't really talked much. And he goes, you ever seen that movie, The Devil's Rejects? And I'm like, yeah, I've seen it. Like, yeah, I've seen it. And he's like, I'm in that movie, man. And I was like, get out of here. And sure enough, man, like he told me the character he played. And I was like, what, man? And really, we both had a great time in Savannah. We were there for a week. I couldn't wait to get home. And I don't think that we had the smartphones at that time. If we did, I didn't look it up, but I couldn't wait to get
Right.
home and watch that movie just to see. And sure enough, man, he's in that movie. He's the guy that they go to in once Captain Spaulding and Otis and Baby are down at Captain Spaulding's friend's like chicken ranch whorehouse. they go out and buy a couple of chickens. He's the guy that sells them the chickens. He's the one that asked them.
Okay.
He's like, hey, are you gonna those chickens? Because and they're like, what do you think I'm gonna those chickens? And he's like, I don't know, with that guy right there. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
I know the
him,
scene you're
man.
talking about. Yeah.
But I was,
That's wild.
you know, it's just not like something you expect when you're riding down the road and somebody, he seemed nice enough. He said that he was on tour with Steve Harvey and all this, but that could have been a bunch of BS just to get us to get in the car and he's going to kill us. And then, like, my mind's on the whole time. I was like, man, I don't know if we should have took this ride. And then he was like, you ever seen Devil's Rejects? And I was like, man, I don't have my pocket knife. I just got off the plane. I don't have anything. And I'm just like, yeah, I've seen Devil's Rejects. I didn't know what to expect. Anyway,
Right.
it was kind of like how we were talking about Wolf Creek. The guy seemed like he was nice enough until he got him back to the place.
Right. And then all terribleness ensued. It was
Yeah,
terrible times from there on
yeah,
out.
definitely.
Oh man.
This movie, I believe, was number one on another one of my lists, maybe a couple of my lists, but in 1973, The Exorcist, which
Mm.
was based on a true story. Um, I'll have to say it was more like inspired by a true story. It was actually a little boy in real life, and but um, this movie is great. It's a scary movie. This was a movie that people were leaving the theaters and they were getting sick from it because it was so bad. When this was back when special effects like we have today, there were none. you know this was pre CGI, and it was just with the head spinning all the way around, and the pea soup when she got sick, and just stuff like that. The way that they went in it, they didn't put in digital breath for them blowing out the cold air. I mean, they had to lower the temperature in that room, so it was freezing in there, all the stuff sliding around in the room. It was a great movie, a very scary movie. And it's just, this was the one that I remember watching some of it as a kid, one of my first horror movies, and I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and I couldn't do it, man. I had to get out of the room. And then when I finally got brave enough, I watched a bunch of stuff between them, but when I got brave enough to go back and rewatch it, I was probably in my early to mid teens at that time. And I loved it at that time, but maybe not for an 8 or 9 year old. So maybe
Right.
wait till, maybe wait till I get a little bit older. But there's really disturbing stuff in there, when she's talking to the priest, and just stuff like that you didn't back then. We're talking 1973. They,
Yeah.
people hadn't seen stuff like that. People hadn't seen them talk to priests the way that this little girl possessed by a demon was talking to the priest. And it was great. Linda Blair, a huge scream queen. I always say that to me, it's almost a tie, with her, and of course, Laurie Strode.
Oh, Jamie Lee
Jam,
Curtis.
yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. I think it's pretty much a tie, because I mean, you can't think of that one. I don't know. Jamie Lee Curtis probably had a Scream Queen title, but Linda Blair's
Yeah.
up there close. Linda
She
Blair's
definitely,
close.
you know, quick segue onto that. I got to give it to Jamie Lee Curtis as well, because I mean, with her body of work in horror
I thought you were just
compared
saying her
to
body. I was like, hey, wait a
no,
minute. We're not
movie Trading
basing it on
Places.
that, Lee.
Oh, yeah, I'm not talking about the movie Trading Places. That's a totally different thing.
Yeah,
or True Lies. No,
yeah,
anyway.
True Lies.
It was even better in Trading Places though. But anyway,
Yeah,
so no, that's not what I was referring to at all. No, her body of work as a scream queen
yeah,
is, she's done more horror films, I guess I would say. Or I
yeah.
mean, I guess Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, not Jamie Lee Curtis. Linda Blair. I mean,
She
now you got me talking about
tried.
this. She did one that sticks out, obviously Exorcist, and then less than about Exorcist 2. But Hell House. Wasn't there one called Hell House where she was a bunch of kids were like broke into some type of you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about? And
yeah.
it's
And
a pretty
then
good one.
there was another one. She played some street fighting gang where her sister got attacked or something like that. But yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. She was
Yeah.
in The Exorcist, and that's probably what she's known for. I don't think
Yeah.
she was known. And I mean, with
Yeah,
Jamie
I'm
Lee
telling you,
Curtis, it's in her blood, man. If
it
for
wasn't her
those who
blood,
don't
yeah.
know, her mother was in Psycho, probably what was considered the original Scream Queen, the
Yeah,
shower
yep.
scene. So
Yep, exactly. No, dude, very cool. Very good choice. With The Exorcist, of course. I would say that I might have made my list as well, but since I've not seen the whole movie, I
I
would be
keep
cheating if
forgetting that.
I would be cheating if I put it on my list.
Yeah, yeah,
So I can't. I obviously know that it definitely rates some. It deserves to be on this list, on your list as the number one film. Man, great choice. It's a terrifying movie. Haven't finished it. Need to. Again, as everything I just said about demons and possessions. That's the one movie that I have failed to watch yet. So I need to get to
yeah.
it.
Well, one day I'm gonna put a theater down here in my basement, and when I get that done, I'll I'll have you over and you can watch it in the
I don't know. I don't know what it is about that movie, man, but
with Reagan.
I don't know. That would be. I don't know about that one. I don't even. I can takes all I can to sit here on the screen with Reagan as I do.
Yeah,
So I don't know about watching that movie with her, but no, obviously Exorcist is a fantastic choice. I've seen The Exorcist 3, so yay. Anyway, that's the only one.
yeah.
All right, guys. For my number one choice, we are going to go with, it might be the first time sequels have made it into the movie, or I've had two sequels on the top five, but I had to with this one. I went with The Conjuring. I went
I
with The
knew it.
Conjuring.
I knew it. I
I
almost said when you called The Conjuring 2, I was going to ask you what is The Conjuring 1 or 2 for you. And I don't blame you. I'm not blaming you at all for it. I think it's
yeah,
great.
I had to, and I hated to put those, two sequels on there, but man, they I thought they were just so great. And then Wolf Creek, man, just was a little bit just disturbed me. So I was like, oh, well, that one definitely needs to go in here as well. And I had to put
Yeah.
it in number two. But no, the Conjuring movies, as I said, all about Conjuring 2, everything I said about the Conjuring 1, I just thought this one was it's a tiny bit scarier, in my opinion. I mean, it's all the clapping game and just all of that stuff, man. Lily Taylor, again, she's
Hmm.
also known for, she's been in a couple different horror movies. That The Haunting is one that comes to mind
Yeah.
that she was
Great
in.
movie too.
Yeah. But no, I mean, everything I said about Conjuring 2, just like I said, goes for this one as well. Um, you know, it's terrifying film, and I just love the Petersons, or not the Petersons, the Warrens. Sorry.
Well, you
Yeah.
said it though. That clapping game when she was on the stairs and those hands came out of the dark and clapped. That's got
Mhm.
to be one of the most terrifying scenes in modern horror movies. It was
Yeah.
scary, man. That was one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie. It was probably my favorite scene of the whole movie. Well, that and when she's in the chair down, they've got her taped up in the sheet over her, and she does like the little flippy thing or whatever, and it's scary, man. Her face changes, and
Oh
yeah, it
yeah.
was good, man. And Lorraine Warren, man, you can't beat
Yeah.
him.
No, you can't, man. And like I said, this has spawned what a fantastic run of horror for us horror fans. I mean, this movie spawned quite a fantastic run of them. You know what I mean? And all the different spin-offs and all, and they've all been great in their own right. So
And the third one that's coming out what, like in another month,
yeah, I think in July, if I'm not
July?
mistaken. Yeah. Obviously it was delayed due to the pandemic, but yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to that. Can't wait to
that'll
see
be a
it.
good one too. I guarantee it, man. It's great
Mhm.
writers, great actors. They do a really good job, and I hope they keep it up. If they do it like 1 and 2, three's gonna be a smash hit, man.
Indeed, man. Indeed.
Can't wait. Well, that was good, man. Good list. I'm gonna say the honorable mention that I thought you may have had on yours, but you didn't. Fire in the Sky, and I don't know if I consider that
Oh,
as much a horror movie as a thriller type movie, but Fire in the Sky had some good scary parts in it, though. You know, when he was abducted, and then the little flashbacks that he had. That movie came out before the X Files, and I really think that's what kind of spawned the X Files.
right. Yeah, it came out in 1993. I saw it in the theater, Jason. Um, this movie, I guess I didn't think about it because I didn't. I mean, it's sci-fi. It is a horror movie, but it's more that due to the aliens and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But I mean, it's a horror movie, so don't get me wrong. But I just didn't think about putting it on there. But it's funny you say it because this movie really scared the hell out of me. To be honest
yeah,
with you, I saw it when I was up with people saw it somewhere on the West Coast. I was staying with the host family, and I had to come back home. And I was up all night long. I could not go to sleep. I could not go to sleep after watching that movie, man. I just knew the aliens were coming. I mean, the abduction scene was terrifying, as you said.
It's still probably the best abduction scene that I've ever seen. It, I don't know. How can you say it looks realistic when you haven't seen one? To me, though, that if there was going to be an abduction, it was going to be like that. You know, at that time, we're used to seeing things like ET and, you know, stuff like that. And then this one came along. And I think I was wrong too. X-Files came out way before that movie. Because I remember watching X-Files.
No,
No? Was it
no,
before X-Files? Okay, because didn't X-Files came out
maybe
on
you're right. Maybe
Channel
you're
5
right.
or whatever. But see,
It
I
did
used to
came out at the
like,
same time as Briscoe County. It came out 90. X-Files came out in 92.
okay, and X-Files, I used to like so much better when they first started because they covered everything from like crazy carnival stuff to the lizard man to Sasquatch, all these different, you know, not just aliens, cryptoids are just crazy stuff that you wouldn't think of. But then they, you know, by the like third, fourth season or whatever it is, they just kind of turned to all alien after that, you know,
Right.
and I really like the ones that, you know, went on before. Like there's one that they don't show on TV anymore, and it's about that family from the West Virginia family or whatever.
It's
And
called Home. It's called
yeah,
Home.
man, you can't
Yeah.
hardly find that unless you go on and, you know, really look for it. They won't show it on
Well,
regular TV.
that was banned. Fox didn't show it on its original run. Like
Yeah,
it was supposed to have come out, and it didn't. It didn't come out until maybe a few years later. You know,
yeah,
they just didn't show that episode for that season. Fox thought it was crazy. They're like, no, I'm sorry,
yeah,
we can't show this. You
yeah.
know, yeah,
And
no,
it was a good episode though. It was very
yep,
believable.
it
But
was.
I can see why people from Appalachia wouldn't want that though.
Yeah, indeed, man. Dude,
Anyway,
you had a great top five, man. Fantastic
yeah,
work,
you
my
too.
friend. Very
You too.
surprising choices on your list.
Yeah,
I think this was, yeah, this was a really good one to go through.
it was a good one. It was a good one. And yeah, no, you know, I'm still upset about the Amityville horror. I wish I hadn't. You know, I just that's what you get for research and stuff. Sometimes just watch the movie and leave it alone. Don't look
Yep,
into it too much. It's better.
indeed. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I guess until next time, man.
All right, my friend. Yep. We'll be back, guys. Don't forget to like or subscribe. Hit the like button, subscribe button. Let us know what you think. Comment out there. We really want to get your feedback. We want to make this show the best we possibly can. So let us know what you think.
Definitely. All right, man. See you next time.
Later.